do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
Well, good evening, folks. How are you? And I hope you're having a bloody great Friday. I can tell you I've been a manly man doing manly things today. If you haven't caught the earlier live, I've been truck driving. I've been chainsawing. God, if only I could be a lumberjack, I'd be okay. Some of you will get that reference. I hope you've come to the end of your week. Maybe it's not. Maybe you've got a bit more to go ahead of you tomorrow. I know I have, but... at any rate, it's nice to get to Friday and have the time to spend maybe with family, go out this weekend, catch a fish if that's your bent, maybe going four-wheel driving. There are so many wonderful things. It's going to be a pretty good weekend. In fact, it's going to be pretty warm, I heard, tomorrow and Sunday, particularly throughout the East Coast. So we've gone from, 2 freezing cold weeks to now I think it's 2 very, very warm weeks. So looks like summer's at least beginning or heading in the general direction. There's a visitor around here at the moment who is already complaining about the humidity, or not complaining, but just mentioning the humidity. What humidity? Not feeling any humidity at all, and I'm out there actually working in it. It's, yeah. Very, very weird indeed. So let's have a quick glance into the chat, see who was first in tonight. I think Angelina was first in tonight. She was. Hello, Angelina. I hope your weekend is going to be a good one. You're not going to go and get too socially excited and carried away. Chaos, nice to have you in. Dusty, Scotty T. Who else has found their way in? Oh, you guys are having a good chat all the way in. G'day, Tim. I've got to call you back. I'll do that in the morning, Tim. Scotty T, I've got to read all your comments. I'm going to have to go back and do that. G'day, Harm. Hope you're doing well, mate. And life, the universe, and everything is ticking along quite well. Love to Eb. Hope she's doing nicely. She'll be sitting there at his feet, licking his toes, no doubt. DM, how are you? G'day, Wendy. On red alerts in the house. G'day, Phil. Good to have you in too. Happy birthday with you, mate. Happy birthday. That's awesome. I hope you've had a really good day. Maybe a nice lunch or a nice meal out, or at least the family have given you a call and remembered you. And I know your family here will wish you many happy returns. It's a big thing we do on birthdays around here. Remember that. Big thing. So, thanks, mate. Thanks for your support, and I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful day. Scotty the News. Good to have you in too, mate. Oh, look at that. Vince Panel is in the chat. Well, seems like the ideal opportunity to bring up the waiver himself. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I must say it's quite a pleasure to see you sweating away there earlier today.
I haven't made any sweaty videos in a while, but if you really want to see me sweat, mate, I'll make some chainsaw videos for you if you'd like, and you can watch my safety goggles fog up. I'm sure that'll look very attractive.
Yes, well, there are times and whatever, but yeah, just caught you dump trucking around and playing Master Farmer. I thought that was rather interesting. Having actually knowing the area that you're talking about and where you're traveling, I'm going, okay, I'm glad it's him driving and not me. Right?
Maybe I should set a GoPro up on the truck, on the front of the truck one day, and show you where I'm driving, what I'm driving in 10 ton of dirt at a time. You might be quite surprised. The property is, for the want of a better term, a goat track. It is real goat country. I think Vince would agree. The first time he knew he had to walk up to these showers, just from where I am, it's probably 50 meters walk, but it's up a fairly solid gradient. And of course, Vince has a few blood pressure issues, so we had to make sure that he got up there all right. He didn't wear himself up and down too badly. But hands up for me, that was me for the first month I lived here. Walking up to the shower or up to the loo up there, and I was determined not to be embarrassed by getting in the car and driving the 50 meters. So, I figured that was pretty. Yeah.
To be fair, my blood pressure's fairly okay. It's the angina that gives me the hard time.
Ah, right. Okay, there you go.
So yeah. So
well, the area that I've taken dirt from today, and I've done, say about 50 odd ton of dirt, 5 trips, is about as far away from this part of the property as you can get and still be on the property. And there has been a new road cut through the wilderness to get through there without me having to go and jump out and open 2 gates and close them again as you go through them. And that road is very rough and very, very well. Up until a week ago, it was 4-wheel drive only. We've now been able to get the big excavator down there, and it's compacted it a bit more. And today, look, there are going to be truck drivers who are watching this show and saying, "Oh, Carl, shut up and stop embarrassing yourself." But I'm a little bit chuffed that while I'm used to driving a bus, while I'm used to driving and have had experience driving bigger buses and bigger vehicles, I have never in my life had the experience of driving a dump truck or anything that had a gearbox. So for folks who may not be...
Yeah, okay, a little bit of a break in there. He's talking about a 2-stage gearbox.
Sorry, we're back. Sometimes you'd have to change the gear position to change gear. You just flick a little lever on the gear switch and lift your foot off the throttle a bit and it'll change gear. So learning how to do that has been interesting because it on a flat piece of road, it's not a hard thing to learn how to do, but there isn't a flat piece of road on this property. Is there, Vince?
Yeah, there's one little bit. Just
Where?
one little bit out of up near the sawmill. Just as you're coming into the gate, the first gate coming from your end, it's flat. Oh yeah, but
okay. So
that's
think
the
about
only
this
place that I can think of.
So now you know that site, and I'll take people for a drive. I'll put the GoPro. I might even just take the car out.
Yeah,
in the car.
No. Do it in the truck. It would be even more exciting in the truck. Do it in the truck. Stick it on the front of the truck, and
yeah, it's certainly a truck. So
that way,
given that area there, we're talking about a gearbox going from, 3rd low to 4th high, or 3rd high it'd probably be when you kick it back. I'm going to be traveling at a very, very good rate of knots in that very small area of flatness that you're referring to. Thankfully, we've taken a few trees out of there, so I may not hit them, but I don't know. Yeah, the timber yard's looking really good. I'll need to get permission, but
you're skipping off over the other side, and we can get to what you're going all the way down the hill with the brakes full on, just sliding.
Well, that's the other thing. The brakes on the truck are, for the want of a better term, grabby. Grabby, I think, is how I would describe them. In fact, if you put your foot on the brake while you're in first gear, it will throw you out of your seat. And if you're not hanging onto the steering wheel, you'll headbutt the windscreen. Just locks all the brakes up. So turns out there is an art to driving this vehicle. And thankfully, on the hills, it works out quite well. The air brake works. So you put the air brake on. I get around here empty in about low gear, low ratio third gear. First, second, third gear. Won't get much faster than that around here. And even when I've got a full load on, I'm usually first and second through the really hilly parts, but I can get up to third in one little area. So yeah, okay. I'll take you for a drive. Enough talking about it. I'll take you for a drive around it. We'll do a bit of that. So Guru is coming on the show tonight. I'll just try and send him a text to make sure that he got the. If I can find my phone.
Yeah, while he's busy looking for his phone, there's been a couple of interesting things occurring throughout the day. Some stuff in Parliament that we'll talk about a little bit later. I got to listen to a bit of the Friday banter from Malcolm Roberts today, and the disgusting opposition senator, who I can't even think of his name, probably because it's not worth thinking about, but just the total amount of hypocritical bullshit that he put out, where he was labeling people on the other side of the bench as conspiracy theorists, far right, whatevers, right, without 1 ounce of proof, right? Just straight out labeling. And as he's talking, you will see him look up like this, like he's trying to imagine what he's going to say next that he can offend somebody with without stepping over the guidelines. Really in an insulting heap of doo-doo, this fella. He effectively shouldn't be representing his constituents, because as far as he was concerned, he was in charge and he is the boss and he knows better. Yeah, mate, we pay your salary. Whether we voted you in or not, we still pay your salary. So pull it in. Right? You'll find it. It's all over Telegram as well. So
it's
that's just my comment. I'm fed up with politicians saying they know better when they know nothing. It's beyond the joke. And the sooner they start listening to their constituents and actually listening to what we ask them to do, the sooner the better. And if they're not careful, they're going to find themselves needing to find another country to live.
Yes, I would agree. Couldn't agree more. In fact, One Nation seemed to be nailing it more and more with their. I'm just going to move this a little closer. More and more with their cartoon every couple of weeks. Today's is a ripper if you haven't seen it already.
Not yet.
It's and very cutting to the point. It must really, really jibe the Labor Party, but Albanese in particular. It just paints him in such a light. And the fact of the matter is, it's not an unfair light he's being painted in. The guy is an idiot. But he's leading a party of idiots as far as I'm concerned. Worse than that, he's leading a party of traitors. So...
Yeah, well, there's...
it wouldn't matter what flavour government we had. Whoever it was leading it would be leading a party of traitors under the current system.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to look at Tim's last little thing that he did about 1973 and how they changed the wording in various acts? That was amazing.
When Gough Whitlam took over something like 23 portfolios and he had somebody else take over the rest, and for 9 or 11 days or something, they had absolute control and changed everything.
Yeah, all totally, whether you're going to follow the Constitution or not, but all totally against what's written in the Constitution, which makes pretty much every one of those laws is changed illegal. And there's going to come a day where these guys are going to have to answer, because the more we can get out, the more we can collab with other people, the better off we're going to be able to do. Now, I like Tim's approach, not everybody believes in the Constitution. Some are in Magna Carta, some are in this and that, but we need to pick a starting point. cement that, and then move forward from there. We can change stuff as we need to later, but we need to have a starting point. So,
I would agree.
And
Before Guru comes in, he hasn't joined us yet. I want to thank so many people for the comments on Facebook, because I don't think I've posted them anywhere else, but I know you've posted them on the VOFHQ website. Yes, I have been out taking photos of the moon of late, and you can see one example of it behind us. Both tonight, Vince came on and he looked great behind us. I said, "Oh, I'm going to do that too." So that is the blue moon of 2 nights ago. It was a pretty poor night here to be out trying to take photos of what was, in fact, probably the second full moon or super moon. This is actually what you might have got if you had a good lens on your iPhone. If you had a really good lens, you might have been able to get that, but I doubt you'd get that. And I'm bloody positive you won't get that. So
see the rock in the center of the crater in that one. Yeah, look, right in the center. I was looking at that and thinking, well, what is that? It looks like a spaceship, but it's actually, when you think about it, depending on whether you're a flat earther or not, that's the actual rock that impacted, that made that crater, because that rock that hit is obviously harder and more dense than the moon that it hit. So it must have been a reasonable size. But it's a really good shot, Carl.
That particular area, you can't see it in that shot. But if you look up above that bit, that crater we're talking about, and to above and then to the left, there are sort of two, it looks like two large rocks.
Mm-hmm.
These are actually quite large overhangs. They look like caves or entrances. And in the back, which is all a bit darker there, that's because I have photos of this area from another night where more of that area is exposed. I just haven't got them loaded up here. And I'm particularly interested in that area because it looks to me like there are structures there, straight lines and all sorts of humped or domed sort of, well, it could be rocks, like you say. The lens is good, just not good enough. Need a telescope probably to get as close as I really want to. But that one that you're referring to, and yes, I would agree, it could well be the meteorite or whatever it was that struck that portion of the moon. However, it can also be a very large radio tower, or what looks to me like a transmission tower. Almost like how a satellite dish works with a point in the middle, a focus point that the dish focuses on, and that happens to be aimed at a interesting portion of the Earth, most of the northern hemisphere. So I'm not saying it is that by any stretch of the imagination. I need to take better photos, and that'll come this month, hopefully without the clouds. And I'll get to see, because this particular area is right at the very top, sort of top to the left of the moon as you look at it. So yeah, there are some interesting things there. There are a lot of highlights, let's call them, bright lights that you can sort of see in, not so much in this particular picture, but I don't know, maybe the next one might. No.
Yeah, that gives it as well.
Yeah.
If they want some really good shots, look at the ones that we've put up on VOFHQ. You can zoom right in on them and have a close look. So,
and then that is the shot that we've got behind us, the blue moon. So
To be
I
fair,
didn't add any color to it. I just I pulled out one item in the adjustment on a very basic photo editor, and it turned blue. And I said, "Oh, good, I'll keep that," and went save. So yeah, I've just pulled a certain frequency of color out of it by pure accident, and that's what came out. So that is the blue moon of August 21, 2024.
reminds me of that old song, Blue Moon.
Blue moon, blue
Yep.
moon. I remember that.
That's the one. Yeah, beautiful song. That one.
Well, I don't know what's going on with Guru. Oh, it says give him 10. Oh, great.
Give him 10. That's all right. I'm sure we can gas bag for another 10. Why don't we just start a whole conspiracy theory on that tower? I mean, we can just make up any story because it doesn't matter whether it's true or false. It'll be automatically labeled as conspiracy
I can probably load up a few more images that we can start that with. Absolutely. I don't know if you saw this during the week. I think this is one of the best stories I've seen during the week. Using full stops in texts and messages could offend or upset young people, linguists have warned. That's because the little fuckers don't know what they are. Teenagers and those in their early 20s, Generation Z, who have grown up using short messages to communicate, and any parent who has one of these little troglodytes understands that that's how they communicate, with short messages. Bloody grunt, moan, grunt, grunt. Communicate, short punctuate. Anyway, they've grown up using short messages to communicate, can see punctuation marks as a symbol of curt passivation. That's because they don't understand what it is. They're idiots. God almighty.
Well,
anyway, they'll read something into it that tends to offend them then. God help you if you offend them. No one ever died from offense, you know.
Well, it depends
anyway,
on what type of offense it is. If it's a barbed wire, it might make you out.
Yeah. The little darlings are just, I could get so upset. Well, I could care less. I tell you something I do care about. Monkeypox. That's a big thing coming to us soon, apparently. But I was shocked and dismayed to discover that monkeypox vaccine is available in Port Macquarie, and they're advertising for you. Now, I don't know, this might have been photoshopped. Penny was actually going to drive past and have a look and see whether or not this particular doctor's surgery did, in fact, have this up in the window. I haven't heard back from her, but
she's busy this weekend.
Interesting to find out if that is the case, because my suggestion there would be avoid at all costs.
Yep, I would agree.
I believe that this Mpox bullshit is just a form of extreme shingles that's been brought on by the jibbity jab. Now, that's just my opinion, but I've seen and had one friend experience a horrendous, in fact, the worst case of shingles Queensland Health have ever seen, and all after the jibbity jab. So, I don't know. Why are we all of a sudden talking about things that are essentially already recognized by most awake people and quite a few awakened of the medical fraternity? Why joke any credibility at all? And I hope people aren't. I hope you don't get it. I hope it doesn't come to you, but it's not going to come to you from
Okay, mate.
I'd be really keen to see.
Which service are you on today? On the Telstra one, or are you on the Starlink?
I'm on the Telstra one at the moment.
Oh, she's very spotty today. So I'm not sure why. Might have had something to do with the blue moon.
Well, there is probably 2 trees still left to remove. One of those, I think, will drastically improve my Starlink signal. But we'll have to wait and see because I've got to reposition the bus over the weekend at some stage. I've got to reposition the bus. So that'll mean a whole different view of the sky and a whole maybe set of different trees to deal with. So we'll see what happens. It will be interesting. But fingers crossed, another couple of weeks here, I think, to do what I said I'd do to help here before I hit the road, and then hopefully we'll be in an area that provides us a little better coverage for both Starlink and the Telstra link as it's got going. So yeah, it's a bit of a battle at the moment, but it looked like a pretty clear night tonight. I thought the bird might work pretty well, but it seems to be having a little bit of a drag on proceedings. All right. It looks like Guru has finally cleaned up what he was up to, and we welcome him to the show. Hello, brother. Oh, here you are. You're at that bloody mansion you live in again.
Oh, gosh, don't tell everyone. The Voda bug will be onto it again, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, people like us, Carl, trying to keep things, you know what I mean, on the quiet. Yeah, bullshit. We tell the truth about everything, guys. So, yeah, watch the Voda bug. It has disappeared for a while. But we got monkeypox, we got the sloth bug, and we got everything else coming back. So the Voda bug could be back, guys. It could appear anyway. But anyway, how are you? G'day to your viewers, Carl. And, yeah, lovely to see Vince. Isn't it? Who have we got?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Vince. And,
we have met some time ago, Guru.
Yeah, we have, mate. Yeah, I do remember that, and I picked that pretty well. I thought. But yeah, not bad. How are you,
mate? Good to have you on. It's been a while, so a lot's happened in our lives since last you were on the Voice of Freedom.
Apparently we hate each other, Carl. Apparently we hate each other, mate. We're not friends at all. You know, this is the rumors we hear out there in the stratosphere.
Yeah, and we've been at each other's throats. All sorts of shit. If people only knew the truth, they would be quite surprised. But
yeah, you need to sharpen your knife, mate. It's really blunt. That thing you've been rubbing across my throat. It's still.
No, I was going to say something there, and I thought, no, that's going to come out in a whole bad way for me. So no, I won't. I
was going to say that's the tough old concrete worker out there, mate. He's got that much cement around there now. He can't get through anyway.
Yeah, well, you need one hell of a big hook to take down a concreter from Wollongong. I was told a few months ago, but yeah. Anyway, that's the way it is.
It seems like Brother John has decided to try and get some movement back into that crane hook. And to be honest, I mean, you sent a text earlier. I don't know what he's come out and said. Apparently, he's talking me up as a Freemason again, and Bergwerf as well.
To tell you the truth, Carl, I'll make a quick comment on it, mate. I sort of said on the show, I didn't put it at anyone, but people, some people have really, at the time when the country is looking for a little bit of leadership from somewhere, or something to grab onto, to grab a bit of, which should be God, right? No man, okay? But yeah. I'm sorry, some people are not doing themselves any justice at all. They're coming out there slagging you again. They're slagging Bergsworth again. They're slagging anyone. Now, funnily enough, Carl, I've shown you a few of the texts that I've sent, haven't I? Because you and I don't talk to each other. We hate each other, Carl. We don't exchange nothing.
No,
but, yeah. I've been left alone, Carl. The heat's gone on you, bro. So, I don't know what's going on here, mate. I don't know.
Well, all I can say is I don't know, he might have been a bit pissed this time around and forgot what I said to him last time.
Well, apparently Australia has 1 month, Carl. 1 month to get behind him. He needs 200 people, or what is it, 1,000 people at $200 each within a month, or he doesn't give a shit about the money, or this is his words, he don't give a shit about the money, or else he's throwing the towel in and going fishing.
Okay. Well, maybe you should go fishing.
Well,
Because
that's
you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere if you're going to constantly shoot down everybody else who's trying to fight the same battle.
Well,
so what's the point there?
He's also just gone out tonight and said that he hates us all. But guess what? We've got to go with him because he needs us. He hates us, but he's got to take us all with us or he can't get there. And he's the only man for the job. Carl, it was a comedy show. I feel sorry for the guy. He's come out, slagged me. He said, I'm a druggo. I'd love to get some blood tests for you. But, yeah, I'm a druggo. I'm this. I'm a drunk. You know, I don't even drink, man. I haven't drunk for, how old's my son now?
26.
26 years I haven't drunk for.
Yeah.
Since my boy was born. Yeah.
So the challenge with this sort of stuff is that if you think about it, right, it's fine to say lots of things, but really where are you going to find a person's truth? And that's in their actions, right, in all fairness, because you can listen to somebody talk, but it's how they act, it's how they work out. And eventually their actions will betray who they really are. Right. And we see that in a lot of people. I mean, you were organising Camp Epic when I was there. Now, you think back to those days, they were magnificent. And you did a great job on that, mate. I have to appreciate it. But, you know, when people can walk around leaving their iPhones out on poles, charging, and nobody took them.
No.
Yeah, that was just epic.
It's 3 o'clock mornings after everyone's been on the booze, having a beer. We've had the band there and that, not one fight, not one bad word. And by 3 a.m. in the morning, every bottle that was drunk was lined up perfectly, mate. Every cigarette butt was picked up. It was an incredible place to be. It was magnificent.
It's a shame.
I really wish I
keep that.
There have been so many times I've thought, no, I really wish I was there. And I'd only just started working for TNT Radio. And I offered to drive down when this was building. And I said, I'll find somewhere to camp. I'll, set myself up, do the show from there. And they didn't want me there. So maybe they were just looking after me because they knew what was coming down the pipe. Because if anybody thinks that TNT Radio aren't hooked in the background there somewhere, you are very sadly mistaken. It's a highly controlled environment. Something John Wilson might like to get on. I'm disappointed, not surprised, but I'm disappointed that John wants to start throwing things around. Now, it's interesting that he's calling for $200,000. I haven't told anybody the story and how all this, John Wilson and I were very tight for a while. And then all of a sudden, like Ricardo, he disappeared off into the nothingness. Has never answered a text, never answered an email ever since. So
this is my wave, people.
What are you waving at?
Trying to get his attention. This is how I'm going to catch your attention so I can interrupt.
What do you want to interrupt for?
Well, sorry to lose your train of thought, but it's because you will tend to say your observations out loud, and sometimes that might put you on the wrong side of people. And I think that's what's happened with somebody with an ego. If you've got an ego, it's easy enough to get on the wrong side of an ego. So anyway, going back to John Wilson, is that the reason why he stopped talking to you?
No, if you'd just shut up long enough, I'd have got to that. So the reason he stopped talking to me was because we were trying to raise money to buy a bus. John was very keen to go for a trip to far north Queensland. He was very keen for me to drive. I was happy to drive him there, very happy. Do it sleeping in a tent on the side of the road. Now, John went to work, found a friend of his who had a home, which just turned out to be just not quite suitable. So I went to work on getting, and I hadn't told John that I'd gone to work on getting this one. I told him for a reason, but we'll talk about that at another time. Eventually, when I did let him know, I rang him because in multiple conversations that I'd had with John, he had told me that he could put up his hand And overnight, he could raise $100,000, get $1,000 for 100 people or $100 from 1,000 people overnight. And he could do that. He had that power. And I'd never asked him to prove that to me. But when we were buying this, we got caught in the deal where we needed to spend an extra $20,000 that we weren't expecting to spend. And that was actually the money that we'd put into the budget to run for fuel for the year. So I rang him and I said, John, you've told me many times that you can put your hand up and you can raise $100,000 overnight. I said, will you help me find $20,000? No. Not even what do you want it for? No. And I said, well, why not? He said, nobody's gonna help you buy a fucking bus. And I hadn't even told him anything about a bus. Nobody's going to help you buy a fucking bus. And I said, so you won't help for 20 grand? No. And he hung up. And that's when I sent him an invitation with a picture of the bus to the bus launch, which was going to happen a week later. I didn't get a reply to that either.
Yeah.
So that's the story with John Wilson, me and the bus. I asked him for $20,000 to help make up the fuel, which would have taken him to far north Queensland on the fishing trip that he and Skipper Pete are so keen to take together up at Hinchinbrook. And me too. I'll get seasick, but I'm happy to go.
Happy to fish.
So that's the story behind John Wilson and me and why he disappeared off the face here. And I have sent him multiple texts asking what the fuck. We have mutual friends. I've gone through them to ask what? I don't understand. I hadn't attacked him in any way, shape, or form. I'm very supportive of John mostly, until he gets pissed, and then he starts this swagger, this union swagger that he gets. Now, this is a man who's used to raising money from his days through unionism. What did he do with it is the question.
Well, could I come in there, Carl? And just before you go on to what you hold your thought, right, and keep going, but what have the unions ever done for Australia except stuff up our airlines, stuff up our car industry, stuff up our port industry, stuff up our teachers, stuff up our, the list goes on. Everything the unions have ever been involved in has gone ass up. And now here we are going, I need to start a union. Yo, you won't get me, I'm part of the union. Remember that song, Carl? You don't get me, I'm part of the union.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there aren't too many old unionists. There aren't too many old unionists doing that hard where they can still afford a very nice house in a very nice part of the world and a $200,000 boat, even if it's seen better days. So where did all that come from?
Unions.
Now, unions. And that, I'm not having a go at him. It's just how it was in the day.
That's how it worked.
But it's changed now. And clearly, because I've heard this $200,000 he needs. I think I heard that about 3 weeks ago, that call went out, 200 people to donate $1,000 or 100 people to donate $1,000 or whatever it was. Yeah. Now he's saying we've got a month to do it or we lose him, he's going fishing. Well, I can tell you, I've been on the boat, unless he spent $50,000 or $60,000, which he claims he doesn't have, on that boat, he'll be lucky to go any deeper than 12 feet off what he's tied to at the moment. If he took that thing outside, it would be dangerous and it would sink. There are serious structural issues with his boat. And there'll be people in this chat who've been over the boat that know it better than me. So I don't want to have a go at John, but I want him to be realistic. I would have moved heaven and earth to look after John. I'm happy to drive him all over the countryside. Sometimes he talk your ear off and sometimes you go home with bleeding ears. But by and large, he taught me a great deal, but I always took him at his word. People seem to forget. You take people at their word. John has always told you what he is and what he does. You just think he's a bit cute because he swears a lot and looks like, Grandpa Smurf. All we need to do is paint a little bit of blue on the cheeks instead of red. Well, I'm not too far from the truth. The fact is we all view him as that, nice old guy who's actually not that much older than me, but he's lived a hell of a life. You know, his knees are buggered, his feet are buggered, his hands are buggered, everything's buggered.
But he's the only
He
bloke.
wasn't
I'm
very
interested to know what he wants. I'm interested to know what he wants to do with $200,000
Carl, it's not
to
200
keep him in the
anymore.
fight. Is that his wage? Because he told me, you know, nobody gets paid in this business. So what's he doing with $200,000? He's obviously got a bit of money behind him because he's got web pages and he's got support around him at the moment, putting out all this stuff for the national strike, which, you know, I saw him using a classic Ricardo trait to the other day. I didn't, sir. I heard about it. I don't really watch or follow John, but somebody told me what he'd said, and he'd come out and said that he's now on the national terrorist watch list.
Yeah.
Now, this is a classic tactic of somebody who is losing an audience.
Yeah.
Right? They make up a story that's, the feds are onto me. Terrorists, what? Why?
Well,
why?
Carl, the 200 was the baseline, I think, to get this so-called union. And I don't know how anyone would actually want to get involved with the union. I just told you what the unions have done to our country. And, we got the CMFEU today or 8 hours ago has gone into insolvency or something like that. They've been brought down. You know what I mean? The CMFEU, we've got a show on, I think it's on Sunday night on 60 Minutes or maybe Spotlight, whichever one that is, Carl, but John Setker's on, mate. And from the adverts that I've seen, because I've been up the ranch here, trying to get better, mate, after the pneumonia I've had. So I've had a chance to keep up with the mainstream. Now, he's on Spotlight, I think it is, coming up this week, whatever night that's on, guys. Don't ask me. I'm not a mainstream man. But, and he didn't look very comfortable on their car with some of the questions that were getting fired at him. I can tell you what, mate. So they were going into it.
60 Minutes did a show on Setker about 3 weeks ago, and I urge people to go and watch it. He resigned the Friday before it went to air, and I'm amazed he hasn't been charged and isn't sitting in a jail somewhere waiting to appear before a beak and get sentenced, because he's committed some pretty atrocious acts by the look of it. And look, we've got them in every state. They're here in Queensland as well. And they've all got to be cleaned out. It's as simple as that. And I don't think starting with an old communist union organizer, it's not probably the first person I'd hand a check for $200,000 to and say, okay, go and fix this.
Well, he said 200,000 won't fix it, but he said if he can get the 200,000, right? And I've heard
keep him interested.
No, well, apparently Bosey's pledged 50,000 people. All right, not money, but 50,000 people to back him up. That's what Bosey's pledge was off this show that we just sort of seen. I haven't got to that section yet, but I was told about it. But he's talking millions of dollars. He's saying 50,000 members he can pull in from the CMFEU like that because they're going down. They'll all come over and pay their $200, and we'll have 16 million, I think he was talking about, Carl. I mean, is this just a party joke? I mean, I don't know. Is he going to lift up his skirt and show us he's got rainbow undies? I don't know what's going on.
Well, the maths doesn't work for starters.
I think what you've just said. Yeah, the maths doesn't work. But I think what you've just said about Bosey's influence here is of paramount importance. Now, Rachel in the chat, Rachel Kyle, I saw her pop up saying, are you still on those American chat shows? I imagine Captain Kyle and associated others. Or has Bosey outed you from those? Now, Bosey will have... well, he certainly had some American audience, and he had a great Australian audience, but I don't think I'm going to let too many secrets out of the bag when I tell you that I am very confident when I tell you that the national membership for A1, unless things have changed dramatically in the last month, is less than 20. So where's he? Estimate. I beg your pardon?
Well, so that would probably be a fair estimate.
So I can tell you that Laura Lightworker has gone out, all right, and said that Ricardo just doesn't have time for the Australian audience at the moment. This was put out publicly in their little chat rooms, you know. Oh, Ricardo just doesn't have time for the Australian audience at the moment because he's just so needed with his military knowledge overseas at the moment.
What bullshit. Ricardo's military knowledge would extend to how to pack a fucking truck and get it from point A to point B in the least effective manner. That's what Army logistics does.
I don't know.
Hey.
I know nothing about it, but this is what, you know, this Laura Lightworker or whoever she is, you know, was put out there because, you know, Rick's not being, people have been going, where's Bosie? Where's Bosie? You know, oh, well, Rick's just that big. They need him over in America and in an international audience because of his military prowess and his knowledge. So it may be true, but I mean, hang on. I don't know if it's true or it's not true, and I'm not here to bag him out, but I mean, isn't your backyard your first base?
Yep. If the Americans thought they could send him back in here to be our leader after he'd gone over and convinced the Americans what a great bloke he was, they're going to see their leader have the first civil action in Australian history against them. Because I know the people of Australia would not accept him as a leader. He had the opportunity. He failed to communicate. He failed. Not the people. He failed. And his very, very tight, limited team, of which you were part, Guru. But you failed. And there is a reason for it. And you fail from the fucking top. And he fails because of communication. He cannot communicate. Why? Because he gets found out.
Well,
that's simple.
Yeah. What I've seen.
Then he sends an attack dog like John Wilson out as a spy for him and thinks I'm stupid enough to fucking not realize it. And you know, I'm happy to play the game. I've been playing that game for 40 years. So
yeah, which is something that you need to work on, my dear young friend. Right?
It is.
Because it can sometimes get you into a little bit of trouble.
And look, we got to go forward as a country here, Vince. You know, I mean, we
really
do
come together.
Yeah,
exactly.
we got to come together. But that won't. You won't get that through dictation. You won't go to get that by telling that your group that you can't do this or you can't do that, and you know you must do this and you must. We've been told what to do. That's why we're in the shit that we're in, because we're being told what to do. We're being dictated to, and everyone's going, oh, okay, we'll go along with it. Yeah, okay. Until we're into a spot now, everyone's against the wall, and you're going, holy shit, you know. Now our own people are dictating to us. So, you know, I think the Australian people just need to galvanise, you know what I mean, and come and stand side by side, link arms. We know what we need to do. We need to remove ourselves from the beast. Okay, the beast is the killer. The beast is the new world order. Okay, we refocus, get onto that, right? Yeah, there's corruption everywhere, all right, but we need to refocus, guys, all right, and know that our enemy, right, is the cabal, the new world order. Forget anyone else that's putting shit on, like, you know, they want to do the Carl tonight. Carl and Bergsworth, the fucking mate. Well, they're calling you Masons because they got nothing else to do. You know, this is when you can tell people to get into the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, show me the proof. I'm sick and tired of your name calling. All he's doing is doing what Ricardo Bosie did, and it didn't work for him. If John thinks it's going to work for him, well, fucking good luck. Because if you can find an ounce of Freemasonry in me, my friend, you're doing better than me.
Well, I asked you to share your goat, and you said you didn't have one, and I couldn't find one.
I'm surrounded with 50 goats up there, they're my friends. And we have a great relationship, even though I feel a bit uneasy about their little square eyes. It's there's something about goats, but anyway,
you'll get used to that.
Yeah, and this is not it's not supposed to be right. Go.
But we've got lots of various freedom groups that are out there. Various things like we've got the Voice of Freedom here and the Freedom Broadcasting. We've got Truth Seekers. We've got you. With all of these groups now, some of us are not. We don't marry up 100% in what we believe in, but we all do believe in one thing, and that is that this country and this current the world is basically screwed unless we do something about it, right? So really, we have to take our little petty shit, throw it out the door, and combine on the big stuff that counts. Right. So if we have a disagreement between, we should do this or we should do that, is it relative to the big picture? No, not really. It's just us squabbling. Well, then too bad. Throw it out the door. And let's concentrate on the good stuff, the stuff that's going to unite us and put us together.
Yeah, getting together at the governor's place, Vince. You know what I mean? Doing these things, getting out to Forest of the Fallen. You know, we are at a time now where the community wants to know what's going on. Conversation is so easy. You know, it's time to grab your mate next door who you've actually talked to and he knows what's going on, and actually put your arm around his shoulder and go, mate, let's take a walk down the street. We got a few houses to knock on. You know, we're going to go down the cafe. Let's go and have a chat. Let's really talk loud when we're getting that coffee. You know, let's bring the conversation to the people. This is what we need to be doing, guys. Seriously, this is what it's ground root stuff, and it's simple. Get the stuff from Did You Know website. Jake's going to give it to you if you can't afford to pay for it. He doesn't care. He just wants to win his country back too. Young Jacob Go and let it drop box
We should get Jake here on the show. We can help promote his website too. He does some great stuff.
He's a great kid, mate.
Yeah.
Another one that was actually, you know, demonized, ostracized, and told bullshit. Mate, the guy's a gun. He owns 3 freaking businesses. And he does all that he does with Did You Know as well. And he's a successful little kid. I've been to his house. You know what I mean? I've been in the inner circle with him. You know, these guys
you and I owe a lot to young Daniel in Western Australia with Project Matilda. When others were kicking us off their platforms left and right, Daniel was working his ass off to give us a place, an Australian-made, Australian-built place that we could literally call our own, and that any Australian can call their own. Anybody can join. You could be from overseas. ProjectMatilda.com is the website. Think of it like Facebook, only it doesn't have Zuckerberg involvement or the ads. But you know, he needs a bit of support over there too. What he has put together is Vince will be able to tell you more. It's a large undertaking.
This too, lots of this. Right, the amount of space and stuff he is using for videoing, right, that costs a lot of money. The unfortunate part about our freedom fight is it's not bloody free. So if we want to get out and reach the masses, we have to spend the money to get to the masses. And we're using technology that's owned by the cabal. We're still got to pay for it to use their own weapon against them.
And this is what I mean. We're going to remove the money and start and put the money into our own people. You know, listen, guys, you know, we had 2 million people down in Canberra. Imagine 2 million people gave $1 a month to, say, Project Matilda, a trustworthy guy, right? Even if we use him, Carl, as an example. 2 million people vouched to give $1 a month for 6 months. What could we achieve, guys? Far out, man. We could achieve mountains, I'm telling you. And we do need money. Okay, we do need money. But I'm not going to go out and ask for the money. I'm not going to beg for the money. Carl knows what I put into it. I'm not even going to go into it, okay, what me and my wife have put into this thing. But why? Because we're not prepared to sit back and watch the country get bullied to death. You know, we're not. And if we don't win the fight, what good's my money? What good's the vote? What good's the ranch? No, I'm serious.
One we haven't gone to yet.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but no, I'm serious, guys. You know, we can take it off the beast at $1 each a month, and we can come up with $2 million. Now, you can't tell me that you can't afford $1.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're right, Guru. Everything costs money. Vince will tell you I don't know exactly, but we spend $200 or $300 a month just keeping the website and everything else going, don't we?
A little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Well, we pay for our own website. We got 2, and I'm about to launch another one, Carl, for another reason for the Australian people. That who's paying for it? Me and Mel. No one else. You know.
And we
You know, we
get
put
people
out.
in to help us because we can't pay wages to people. Quite rightly want something if they're going to give a lot of time, and it does require
Yeah.
behind the scenes contributor or something like that. Love to have you, as long as you don't want to be paid and you're happy to take direction on what we need. But
hence the reason he loves me so much.
Time. Yeah, well, and just on this note, can I tell you that our first contributor to FBN is this bloke sitting in the corner here, Vince, who has put together a fabulous story on FBN. I would highly recommend that people go over to FBN Media on YouTube and check it out. And you've done well, mate. Congratulations. So really,
I just literally stuck a camera in front of that and the information session for my place and recorded it. So, but we've got a couple of other bits and pieces coming up along, and and this is something that you'll be able to contribute to too, Dave. So the whole idea of the Freedom Broadcasting Network is so that we can get all of these people to come together, right? A bit like Maria Z's stuff and whatever, but with multiple contributors.
Yeah, and people have got one place then to go. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. You're not everybody's cup of tea, but they all know they can go to one place and find me or find you or find somebody else and the cup of tea they do like on it, whether it be Maria or whether it be Truth Seekers or myriad of others that are in the offing at the moment.
There is. Yeah, you're right, Carl. There's different ways to do it, but I mean, it's not. If we just got organised, guys, it's not a big task. You tell me that you can afford $5 a month. You can't afford $1 a month. 2 million people that turned up at Canberra went, okay, Lord, I'm making a pact, man. Yep, I'm going to give my $2 for each month. It's going to go over to Project Matilda. It's going to line the coffers there. And from there, we can be realistic. We can show what's going on. And I'm only using that as an example. We can show what's going on. We can have open books and we can start and get some organisation within our team, guys. Listen, there's a few of us on the pitch and we're playing an opposition that's outnumbering us. They have the referee, they have the linesman, they have the guys up in the scoreboard. Everyone's on their side. And we got people sitting in the stands cheering us on. Well, you need to hop into the game. You need to be in the game because you know what? I was a decent sportsman, man. As you know, I've won champion. I've won with my kids and I've won myself. I've coached people through. Okay. And no one listens to anyone in the stands, guys. I don't hear what you're saying when I'm on that pitch. I got no interest in what you've got to say. Guess why? Because you're not on the pitch. You want to come and join me on the pitch and pass me the ball and I'll give you the ball back. Hey, I'm going to start listening to you because guess what? You actually got on the pitch. But you can't sit in the stands and yell and scream and expect the players on the pitch to listen because we don't.
And I understand that many people want to get on the pitch, but for a variety of reasons can't. Be that physical, be that mental, be that, they're just not of that sort of confrontational constitution, will we say, Dave? And I understand that, but you support others who are. Well, then if you can't get on the pitch and accept the ball when it's passed to you and run with it and pass it on to the next person, then help us fund the players on the pitch, please. And
that's not just necessarily us. That can be
not
a
us.
worthwhile group that you believe that's there. And as long as we can make the connections between the groups, then we can start forming some sort of unified force. Mm-hmm. And that was the advantage that the unions had, that John Wilson had back in the day when you went to work in a timber industry and you had to be in the union. And then they would come in and say, well, we're going to strike because we want better wages, better this, better that. And we're going to pull this union in, and we're going to pull that union in. That was very effective back then because of what? They had the numbers.
Yeah.
They don't have the numbers now.
Maybe if John hasn't stolen it, the APU, the Australian People's Union, because that's what we are. If you were born on this land or you're naturalised into this land, you are of this land, the Australian people. And if you can get a union that's for the people,
one thing, Carl, while we're on this, this thing of the pitch, you know, this little thing we're talking about here. Guys, we're not on the pitch for us. Look at us here. I'm 63. Carl's not far behind me. I don't know what Vince is. Okay. We're here for our grandchildren and the future. We are playing a game for what's coming behind us. Your kids, your grandkids. Okay. That's what it's about. It's not about us old farts, man. I'll get off the pitch as quick as I can. I'm worn out. Okay. But we're winning a game for the future. All right. And this is where we got to get our thinking, guys. All right. We've got to get in and we've got to use what we've got at our old age that we are, okay, to get onto the pitch, to win it for what's coming behind you, which is your kids and your grandkids, and to give them a future. And that's the bottom line.
Yep.
Well, I've got 6 kids, Guru, and at this stage, it doesn't look like
got television.
And at this stage, it doesn't look like I'm going to have any grandkids because they don't like the future they're seeing.
That is a sad realization, Vince. That is a very sad realization.
And my daughter is the same. My daughter feels the same. Not that she feels particularly good towards men, but that's improving. But she has no interest in bringing a child into this land and into this time. None of it. And I find that sad because I'd love a grandchild, but I find that sad from her perspective, because having a child, I know what that's done for me, the growth experience it gave me. And she's going to miss that. And we're going to have so many young people who mature young, or stay young as they mature, is what I'm trying to say, because they haven't had what I believe is that adulthood jolt of becoming a parent. Because it changes everything. Whatever you thought before, and it changes everything. And even when you see the worst parents doing the worst things, they just weren't expecting what it was meant to be. They thought it was going to be an easy ride. And parenting isn't easy. Not by a long shot. I'm not telling you.
You know what's easy now, Carl? For these young kids that have got married and had kids, now domestic violence, guess what the female gets, mate? If you want to split up under domestic violence, $5,000. $5,000 off the government incentive. Like, it's just all upside down, man. It's all upside down. They'll give you $5,000 to split up with your partner under domestic violence.
And look, and I understand there is a need for women in that situation who have no money because the husband has the controlling, that controls all the money.
Yeah.
I understand there is a need for that sort of assistance, but we have also seen, Guru, a number of alleged cases with police and domestic violence situations where they have incentivized the supposed victim into making a report that might have been much stronger than reality would have indicated. And that sort of corruption in our child stealing environment. And I played a video here the other night. I'm surprised it's still on, actually, about the American Child Protection Service and how they've been stealing kids and the ways that they've been doing it for years. And it's done through that bureaucracy. And they couldn't do it without a court system that leans towards it. And, of course, that's what our children are.
The advertiser over here on August the 14th ran a whole thing about just that, the number of children that are being taken away within the first week from their parents over here in South Australia. I haven't found the document.
Well, they're the lucky ones, though. They're the lucky ones because now a baby or a fetus that's being aborted that manages to survive the abortion has no rights when it's born. It'll get left on a table until it dies. Gets no medical help. That's Albanese's government, folks.
Yep.
That's him and the Liberals who voted that through.
Yep.
Or maybe
actually voted against Babbitt. They actually voted against Babbitt because Babbitt was trying to put something through to try and stop this. And they all voted against it. You got to... as much as I don't like the politicians, because 98% of them are lawyers, let's face it, we're at a stage now where we've got people from various parties who have crossed the floor to vote for what is right for their constituents and what is right for humanity. So you've got the One Nation people, you've got the Liberals that have crossed it, like Rennick and Antic, right? Personally, I am really sad to see Rennick leave, even if he is called.
He only lost by 2 votes.
He needs to stand independent and see if we can get him in. I'd be happy to go and travel there to wherever he is and go around and hand out pamphlets, because I like the man's guts. Right? I like the fact that he stands up and tells it as it is and backs it with bloody fact, not fiction.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, sorry, I'm just getting on my soapbox.
No, look, we've all got these soapboxes, and you would be surprised, Vince, how close all these soapboxes are. You know, because none of us want to see any of this stuff. You know, we are decent human beings. We are hurt by what's going on. That's why we're in this fight, you know, because we know it's wrong. It hurts. We see families getting hurt. We see the cabal just ripping us apart, you know. I've seen families just be divided so hard, man. I've seen people who I know, not in my family, but people who I know quite well. When that $5,000 incentive come out, the conversation between the two of them was, how are we going to set this up and still stay together? And they've gone to it, and they've picked up the $5,000 and achieved it, and they're still together. You know, it's open incentive to make people be dishonest, to lose their moral compass. This is all by design, people. And the sooner we stop this beast, we stop the design of what they are doing to us.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I think is fear. Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Carl, do you fear what's going to happen to you in the future? Guru,
no.
Do you fear what's going to happen to you in the future from our government, from anybody?
Only one person, and he's up there, and I fear that I don't get to hear the words, well done, good and faithful servant, but I'm going to make sure that I do hear those words, man. So I fear nothing, Vince, except the good Lord above, brother.
Yep, and that's the only one you should. And this is the point that I'm trying to get at. Anybody who's speaking out now, who's on there and who's putting forward and putting themselves in the firing line, have lost that fear. They don't have that anymore. That's why the government can't control us, right? It doesn't mean we're bad people. It just means that you've got no weapon left. You've got nothing that you can control us with, right? So
last control
you've already lost.
Yeah, is gone.
Yeah.
So and there are so many people like us. Now, that doesn't mean that I drive around the countryside with sovereign citizen plates on, waving flags and carrying on. I don't wave it in their faces. I don't carry on and provoke.
You want to correct that
but
statement,
I am in their face.
Yeah, sovereign citizen's oxymoron. Yeah, get into him, Vince.
Yeah, you want to correct that statement? Sovereign citizen?
Oh, well.
Total oxymoron? I mean, that's their wording. That's what they use. But, you know, we know that there's sovereign and then there's citizen. One is above the power, the other's below.
Sawing chainsaws and wood and trucks and big things. And it's been a long week. All right? So I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. That was a Freudian slip because we hear it so often from the mainstream media. So,
but you take my my point. I'm not deliberately provoking. What I am trying to do is to awaken as many people as possible. And if it came down to the fact that throwing me in jail or making up a bunch of false charges against me or whatever, I don't think they want to make a martyr out of any of us. You know, look what they did to Simeon.
Yeah.
Okay. They managed to get him Russian citizenship. They gave him such notoriety. Well, I know that sounds stupid, but at the end of the day, they gave Simeon exactly what he wanted. He now has dual citizenship, can go to Russia anytime he wants, and now has a media profile in Russia as well.
Yep. And Putin's opened the doors, mate. Anyone who wants to go and like Russia, come on over. Mate, I have the application.
Have you? You've actually got an application sitting there.
They're going to. I'm going to have somewhere to live. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
By the way, you got to go and watch that green room that Commo John was on the other night, because he's told the Russian that he might be coming for a bedroom next to the Russian in the Russian consulate. Now, how's that? Hey, the man who's going to fight till his last breath is already organising his seat in the Russian embassy to run away like a big friggin' sook.
Was that said in jest, or was that?
No, that was serious. That was serious, really? Man.
Okay.
Yep.
Huh.
Well,
the people have lost the plot, Vince. They've lost the plot.
Well, take them like their word, and they will tell you what they are. And I don't know. Old communists never die. They just get a bit pissed, get a bit red, get a bit grey, get a bit loud.
Yeah.
But
so we really did skip over the really important part that we started to discuss, and that was about the fact that the laws currently allow for a fetus that's being aborted that's still live, right, not receiving any medical help. Now, apparently that's a state-by-state call, so I hear. So you're still going to come down to it. Is it right or wrong? I mean, I'm adopted, for crying out loud. Why not just have the baby and adopt it out? There are certain cases, let's be fair, there's certain cases where, yes, an abortion is the right move.
Bloody connection. Right?
I know, you're dropping out. It's all right, I've taken over the show, Carl. You're good.
Yes.
There are certain cases where that sort of stuff is relative, and it's on case-by-case basis. So let's be fair about that. But you need to put that on the connection. A little back up a bit. But generally speaking, the fact that the child makes it out alive, I mean, come on, you've got to supply. You can't just leave it in a dish.
Yeah, no, it's just.
Are you even human anymore? If you had to deal with that, do you even consider yourself a compassionate soul? And it's actually, you don't have a soul as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. You couldn't do that theoretically. You can't have a soul if you could just do that.
Yeah, but after you've gone through 4 years of nursing school and medical school and 6 years of that, your soul has been altered. You can't save everybody. You know, they start treating you like a gardener treats a flower bed. Yeah. They look after the ones that look beautiful and will stay beautiful, and the ones that look like they're going to die, well, we'll just see if it dies. And eventually they die. They pluck them out of that bed and get rid of them.
Well, my mother was a 7th grade sister. She used to be matron of the hospital down in Mount Gambier in South Australia. No matter what, nurses to a main degree, and not so much doctors, but definitely for nurses, right, they went in with the altruistic moment of wanting to help people, and they have a soul in there, and they do start to accept loss because they can see that as inevitable, right? But that's loss at the other end of the scale, not at the beginning of the scale. The beginning of the scale must hurt them. And I know from the nurses I used to speak to all the time that they were, in fact, very, especially in the prenatal ward, right, and in the maternity wards, that was when they lost a child, then that was heartbreaking even for them.
But this, right? You're talking about something that happened over 20 years ago, I'm betting.
True, fair enough. Well, more like 60.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, true.
So the nurses and not like your mum anymore, and not like the people that worked with them. Nowadays,
remember the matron, Carl? The matron was this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but she was as white as your bus, Carl, and she ruled the hospital with an iron fist, mate. I can remember being 8-year-old, getting my appendix out, and I'll tell you, you didn't muck around with the matron, mate. Well, your matron told you to eat your ice cream, you ate your bloody ice cream. It was as simple as that.
I had an auntie that was a matron. She owned her own friggin' hospital in Geelong. You didn't fuck with her, I can tell you. Did not muck with her at all. So, and you're quite right. She did have an arm the size of the
up there. She just heard you out, mate. She's just having a chat to God's ear right now.
No offense taken. They were beautiful people. I knew
exactly.
They were hard asses on the job. When they left the premises, they were beautiful people, mate. They had a heart of gold. That's why they had a matron job.
That's right. And that's true. They did care. But it's all about money nowadays. Let's be fair. That's what it's about.
It is.
Right. Especially in the healthcare game. And it's about how fast can we churn that bed over.
Yep. You know? And now they're just going to hit old people for more money, Carl, because the government can't pay. And now they're looking for 30 million, for another 30 million or 33 million or something out. And they're going to screw it out of the old people that they're already screwing it out of.
Yeah, and people with their super still in big super, silly enough to have it there. That's where, now they've got the big company around your super saying, 1% super tax on everybody and get us. Well, if you want to give the government, and they're saying 1%, you reckon they're going to take 1%? They'll take more than that. No, you need to get it out, get it into something that's self-managed, put it into some precious metals, AinsleyBullion.com.au, and don't forget to mention Voice of Freedom, you'll get a discount. So it's the way to go. And Cass and her team from Freedom Financial Solutions can have it in sort of 2 to 3 weeks. It's a pretty quick setup. Haven't had Cass on for a while, so she's been pretty busy with the setup, trying to get her house in order. So we'll have to get her on for another chat shortly and find out what's going on in the big super world, because there's more and more talk that the big companies, the AMPs of the world and all that, are starting to suggest to government that a super tax is a viable way forward to help the country get out of the shit debt situation that we are in. Why are we in it? Because we have shit politicians running the joint, and we need to improve that.
How about we just stop laundering money, Carl? You know what I mean? And giving it to the bloody Ukraine and everywhere else. It's all a money. Everything is a money laundering operation. Our subs, our this. We're not going to see a sub in 2060 bloody 5 or whatever it is. You kidding me? They're just taking your money, people. It's all money laundering. It's all the cabal. It's just sending you broke. That's all it is. Everything's money laundering.
And I've got to say, I'm a bit disappointed, because I've been calling out for months now for anybody that wants to stand up and put themselves up in the community as a wholesome type, somebody who's interested in developing community, both the local, the wider, the broader, the state and the national community as a whole. We need to have a force in Parliament. And I believe, like Dave said, if we could get 2 million people to give $1 a month, we might have 15 million people vote for us at the next federal election and change the country.
Yep. Yeah.
Route every seat, except maybe for the likes of Roberts, who I believe Senator Roberts is doing a great job. Antic kicks in occasionally, and Senator Babbitt's doing a pretty good job. So they're the only ones, as far as I can see, actively, almost on a daily basis, working to expose what's going on. And I look forward. I know it's difficult for them, and I've been very critical of them in the past, because I've felt they haven't done enough. They haven't been direct enough. They haven't been aggressive enough. They haven't held these bloody bureaucrats to the flame long enough to get the truth. But I believe that they are getting the truth, and they are also gathering the evidence that these bureaucrats are untrustworthy, will tell lies, bald-faced lies to Senate estimates. And I think Roberts, if he wanted to, could rightly claim the scalp of the 2IC of the CSIRO, who treated him with absolute contempt in Senate estimates and refused to answer questions.
Babbitt's own people crossed the floor to stop him getting the COVID inquiry.
Well, Babbitt is only Babbitt. there is only Babbitt. See, there's no others other than Babbitt. He's the only one that's there. That is the issue. We do not have enough numbers sitting on that other side of the fence.
And that's because we've got things like the teals that have come in.
Oh, don't even start on that.
God help you. If you voted for a teal, find North Head, gain a parachute, make it work. But the teals, just absolute destruction in our political environment and paid for entirely by Soros and co. So,
and where's the evidence for that? Right? How do we know that? Well, how long did it take for One Nation to get somebody into power? Just one senator, right? And yet, out of nowhere, this teal group arrives and gets 7 in one hit.
Yeah.
What?
You know, I had a gentleman on the show last week or the other week. I mellowed know when it was. I get lost in the rigmarole. But Scotty come on. Yeah, Scotty come on, and he said that he was a Liberal when he come on the show. He's in the Liberal Party. Well, Carl, you know what I mean? Like, he just lit the fuse, mate. Did I rip into him? You know? I said, your boss, man, has just told us all to dob each other in and get us in jail. You know, like, he's in there to try and infiltrate. You know what I mean? But what he said to me was that we have 40%. This is what he tells me. All right. I hate all parties. I don't like any politicians. You know me, guys. I've ripped it into all of them. None of them will come on my show because they won't answer the hard questions. But 40% think like us. We have 20% of the old, Michael Fitzpatrick and Patrick Fitzmichael and, Bend Over and Phil McCavity. 20% of them are ruling the other 40% over here, okay, to do what they need to have them to do. So we got a 60% in against the 40% who would like to make a difference, and they're being run, that 60% or is 40% of it here, but it's being run by 20% of Michael Fitzpatrick and Patrick Fitzmichaels, the guys that like the little gay kids in the parliament. They get their little thing, and this is what's going on. This is our parliament. For Christ, I'm not going to say that word. For God's sake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you can take that same effect if you spent the time to actually watch Parliament and go through it. Pretty much guarantee you, when any of the opposition, and I say the opposition to them, in other words, the people or the senators who are speaking on our behalf, make any of their speeches, how many people are actually sitting in the gallery? We pay those people to sit there and listen to those speeches, and there's nobody sitting in the seats.
Yep.
None. Right? Yep. The only advantage is that it's landed on the Hansard. That's the only advantage.
Yep.
Right? But that's not advertised to people. Hey, people, here's your senator. He's right. Oh, no, he's not. Oh, next time. He's right. Oh, no, he's not. Right? He's not there when he's required. Now, I'm sure they've got other jobs and stuff they need to do, but they're paid to sit there and listen to both sides of the argument, supposedly. Supposedly. But anyway, sorry. Guru, got a question for you.
Yeah, mate.
Sorry to hear that you are not well, and I hope you're feeling much better.
Oh, I'm well on the mend, mate, yeah.
Right. So where are you heading now? What's the plan? Are you just moving forward? I mean, with the loss of the extra support that you used to have with Australia One, what are you doing there, mate?
Look, well, we can all see the big picture now, and I don't think there was a great amount of support within A1. I think maybe I was held on to because the support was actually on my side to help A1. I don't know. All right, that's a guessing game. Good question, Vince. But I tell you what, mate, as soon as I wanted to ask questions and have them answered, the response I got was, if you want to believe this bullshit, thanks for your time. See you later. After 4 years.
I know that one well, mate. I know that one well.
Okay. Now, so what do you do? And look, guys, I said this on some international chats. I've said this before. If I wasn't the type of guy I was, I probably would have, we'll use my diary as an, I would have picked up the corner of the carpet, all right? I would have swept that little one about perjury and me and my wife and 4 other friends under the carpet to head forward, okay, for the betterment of Australia. Now, I knew there was no use doing that, but if I'd have done that, then what happens to Guru when it all falls apart 2 years down the line, or 12 months or 6 months, and they go, what, Guru, you knew about this bullshit, did you? And you're still with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it comes back to integrity.
Yeah. I had to make a character decision for myself. And that actually stood on the things that Rick likes to cock on about, which is morals, ethics, and, all the rest of it. Well, sorry, but I had to stand in mine. You know what I mean? And I had to stand in mine because that's who I am. I stand by truth. Okay? Excuse me. Am I a rough Christian? Am I a rough diamond? I'm probably the worst Christian out there. Okay? But I'll tell you what, I'm a Christian that stands by the truth. And I stand by, I fear nothing but not to hear the words, well done, good and faithful servant. So if I'd have put myself in that position, be prepared for Australia, let's say, to pick up the carpet, sweep it under and say nothing, who am I doing good? No one.
No one.
So the truth had to come out. Unfortunately, I was the one put in the position. Now, 6 other people come out and done that. Once they saw me getting hammered and that, you know what I mean? Boom. They were straight out there. Guru, let us take the heat, man, because we've got the story. Okay, and we want to tell our story, and we've never had the chance to tell our story because there hasn't been another time when maybe it was at a position where these people would be believed in what they said. Okay, so again, this was all not my timing. I didn't want anything to do with it. I would have liked to sat in the background and just not made a decision. Okay, but it comes a time in your life, guys, where you got to make a character decision. Now, the people in the US are saying to me, you're one ballsy dude, man. How big are you, Guru? Oh, I'm 66 kilos when I'm on weight, you know what I mean? And I'm 5'7.5". And you were willing to take that dude on? Well, I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. Yeah. But I wasn't going to bend my character. And I was given no choice, as my wife just said to me then. Hey, man, could I ask you some questions? Because this went down and I've got the proof to say that your other half is lying. So here's the proof and here's the documents. Oh, you want to believe that? Bullshit. Thanks for your time. See you later. Phone gone. Communication cut.
Well, I mean, we don't need to go over that. That is past, but what's the plans for the future?
The plan for the future is to stand in my truth and to stand into the truth of Australia, right? And that is, we're in trouble, guys. The New World Order is coming down on you like a ton of bricks, man. They know it. They know we're in disarray. They put us in disarray. Okay, they got pressure on you from every direction, man. This is a thousands of year plan. Okay, and it is now coming to the fruition of what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Great question, Vince. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stand in my character. I'm going to stand in my faith in God. And I do believe, I come out on my show the other night. If you didn't see a show 2 nights ago, Mel, where I put out a bit of a 17-minute rant at the beginning on a Bible verse that God gave me. Now, I didn't give the Bible verse. God told me to open it. I'm sitting on the lounge over there going, far out, Lord, I'm confused, man. This is doing my head in. Can you give me some direction, Lord, on what's going on? He said, open that. And I'm at the ranch, all right? I didn't even know there was a Bible here. I looked over and I went, and he went, open the Bible. Okay. Where? Open it. Bang. Where do I go to? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They're right going into the furnace. Okay, but Jesus stepped into the furnace with them. There's only 3 men in the furnace. And who was it? Nebuchadnezzar. Now, who was he the king of? Babylon. Where are we now? We're fighting Babylon.
Times of Babylon.
Okay. So that was a word that was given to me from God. You don't randomly open up a Bible to Daniel 3, okay, and get the story of King Nebuchadnezzar for no reason. And the reason is, people, is because that was a message that I was meant to put out, that you are. If you think you can walk through this furnace without being on the wrong side and we're sitting on a fence, you're in trouble, man. You're going to get zapped. You're going to get burnt up. Okay? You want to walk into that furnace like we all have to do, and that's what the New World Order is. They're bringing the heat down on you 7 times hotter than what it's supposed to be. Well, if you're not going to put on the protection that the good Lord gave you, you're going to get hurt. So, Vince, to answer your question, I'm going to walk forward in the armor of God, and I fear no man, and I'm going to push this point until something breaks. It's as simple as that. But I won't be on my knees. I'll be on my feet. I've never bowed a knee. I missed my dad's 92nd birthday in the hospital. He's done all those stories yet. But anyway, I couldn't see my dad on his 92nd birthday. Now, I could have if I wanted to bow a knee.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I wasn't prepared to bow the knee, mate. Neither was my wife.
Yeah.
Right. And for all you people out there who may not be Christian or of other faiths, bits and pieces, it still comes down to your own personal character in the long run, right?
Yep.
And the more of us that can get together with that type of character, the better off we're going to be. I don't know, Carl, have you got any questions you want to raise or anything else that you want to bring to the forefront? Because I stole the show.
I think we can do this again, Carl, because I got to get off pretty soon, mate. I don't want to cut you short or have any conversations, but I think we could really open this conversation up into, we're pretty intelligent people here. We're not the smartest googs in the. But guess what? We've each got our lane. Carl's in his lane. I'm in my lane. I stick to it. Okay, my lane is a news show. Depicting what the mainstream media is saying on the television, right, to what I can show you is happening behind the scenes. Carl does his gig. Vince does his gig. Michael from Cafe Locked Out does his gig. He tours the country. You know what I mean? And he interviews people. We've got someone else doing their gig. Guys, we've all got to be in our own lane, doing what we're meant to do with our own skill sets. But we've also got to be united on the freeway. And the lanes.
Yeah, we've got to be on the same freeway.
Go on the same way.
Yeah.
100%. Well, Guru, I think we can talk about that this week. I think I can see a way that we can make that a regular show on the FBN channel. I don't think there's much value in just leaving it on Voice of Freedom. I think it's better that we use it for what it's meant to be. And that way you, Vince, whoever can invite guests in, and we can pre-record that so it doesn't impinge with your show, doesn't impinge with my show and times, and we can pick a day during the week, get an hour, and have those conversations. And they're just thought starters. But I think it's a great idea, and I think we should do it.
Okay, well, look, guys.
Any luck, we'll get Michael and stuff will come along, and because he's got some great stuff that happens out there.
Michael's upset with me because we won't.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure Michael is a big enough man that he'll get over it because the importance is the country, right? It's saving this country. It's not about ego. All right, and I do have to ask. Somebody said, I remind them of Jim Watkins. Who's Jim Watkins?
Jim Watkins. He's from Jim Watkins is from the old 4chan, mate.
I'm just complete ignorant.
Okay, 4chan, 8chan. Jim Watkins was one of the the instigators of the old 4chan communication. Okay, so if you look into that, you'll work out who he is. But Go and do your research, Vince. I'm not here to tell the story.
Frankly, I thought you looked like the trombone player out of the Muppets, but that's another story. Hey, Guru, have yourself a bloody great weekend, brother. Good to have you back on the show.
Okay, everyone get out and do something on the weekend. Will you start a conversation, guys? People just want to know what's going on. Carl, thanks again. Vince, lovely to see you again. We'll talk to you soon. And look, God bless everyone. All right, let's just get on the same page and go forward, guys. Get on the pitch with us.
True, man.
I'll tell you what, it is fun in the game. It is fun.
It is.
Fun when you're on the pitch, man. Yeah.
Come and play with us. It's fun. It doesn't matter if you don't know the rules, because we don't either. That's part of the fun part of the game, figuring out the rules. All right, Guru, have a good one. Say hi to Mel and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Guru.
And Vinsoir, what are your plans for the weekend?
I actually have to unalgify a pipe from my rainwater tank. So I'm going to go and do that. Yeah, so that's one of the things for me. Other
That
than
sounds like
IT work.
big job. Well, don't go and do anything that I wouldn't.
Well, 7 Days to Die game's going to come up somewhere in the weekend, so I'll shoot a few zombies. Just practicing for next year. Oh, did I say that?
You are.
Sorry.
Of course you are. All right. Thanks for coming on tonight. Chat, and we will talk, no doubt, very, very, very shortly. In fact, probably just after the
just
intro,
remember
the outro plays.
2 things before I'm about to disappear off the screen, but before I go, you have to promote memberships, donations, and the web pages. Bye.
And the merch. Don't these windshields look good?
Merch.
You know, and I don't know if you can see the back. Can you see the back?
Yeah. We can see that FBN. Look at that. Beautiful.
Big FBN on the back. So they're great. Warm, beautiful, warm. And people have been asking about moon photos. They want moon photo cups.
Yeah,
so
I've got to chase that up. But I've got 2 jackets to send over to North Carolina sometime as soon as I get them ordered in.
Yay! North Carolina, our first internationals.
So, they're Australian, but they're in North Carolina. They must be living over there now, but they've asked us to send 2 over there. So
fabulous.
That order is organised.
Well, all our best is in where? North Carolina. No, I said North Dakota.
North Carolina.
Bloody cold part of the world, North Dakota. I suppose North Carolina can get pretty bloody cold too. So yes, you'll find these work really well over there, and
that's good.
Maybe a nice warm coffee cup with a good, let me say a bit of a reasonable moon photo that you could put behind it, something like that. Or maybe you'd like the blue.
This is Carl just gently slapping me, saying, "Come on, Vince, pull your finger out. Come on, you got more work to do. Come on, do it."
Well, you're the one telling me I've got to get into donations and memberships, of which we would love to have you folks. Please come and join us. There is benefits to membership, in that you'll never pay for anything that we send you. That'll be good. I mean, we're starting small. There will be other members' benefits, competitions, for instance, which are in the offing, but more about that at an appropriate time. But yes, please come and join us. You can do so for as little as $1.25 a week. And believe it, that money really is important to us. It keeps me on the road, even though I haven't been on the road very much. Part of the reason for that is that the buses needed a little bit of work done on it. We've had to get a certificate of inspection done on it, which cost near enough to $400 friggin' to get a bloke to walk around, kick the tires, sign a bit of paper, and not even give it to me. I just got a thing that turned up in the email 4 days later. I mean, how unfulfilled do you get? You hand over, I think it was $350, and you don't even get a matchstick in return. It's like, oh, yeah. And the bus is all right. Oh, yeah, bus is fine, mate. Looks great. Right. That was a Sunday, and he was doing 3 of those jobs on the Sunday. That's good money.
Yeah.
Good money. And he got to go for a ride out in the hills on his motorbike. So that drains the bank account quite significantly. We've had registration and insurance just pop up again too. So if you can help, we would really, really use it. We're endeavouring to head north in September and take a more leisurely drive north at this stage and heading for Cooktown eventually. That's the goal. Spend a couple of weeks maybe up there, certainly a week, maybe a week, 2 weeks, and then head back down again in time for the Big My Place event in Victoria, which is happening at the end of November and into December, 29th, 30th, 1st and 2nd. No, 1st of December. 2nd is a Monday, and that's when everybody's leaving. So you'll be there for that one too, won't you, Vince? Yes, good. Thank you. It's been wonderful as you've stopped talking. It's about that time where you should give us the obligatory "I'm going to bed now." Thank you. Vince says good night, folks. as do I. Have yourself a fabulous weekend. Don't go and do anything that I wouldn't do, which leaves you practically open to, well, more than it did this time last week, because I honestly didn't expect to be driving a split-shifted dumpster by the end of this week, and it proves that not all dickheads are on roads.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!